Let's do this, Fossil Ridge. Today, I am going to talk to you about educator effectiveness, educator observation, the policies, some of the things that we'll be doing over the course of the next few months. I've got a PowerPoint here that the district has provided to us. So I'll use some of the slides in this PowerPoint to help us as we go through. But just a general orientation slash reminder for the educator effectiveness process here in Washington County School District. When I send this video out, I will also attach the corresponding PowerPoint so that you have a copy of that as well. Just real quick, it is district policy and state law that we go through a process of educator effectiveness, and essentially the process of educator effectiveness has a couple of points. It has the piece where teachers are observed based on the 10 standards of the state of Utah. It's based off participation in team collaboration. It's based on participation in the development of GVCs and CFAs and interventions and extensions and pieces like that. So the educator effectiveness piece in the Washington County School District isn't just observations. And notice I like to use the term observation, not evaluation, because to me the purpose here is to help us all continue to grow, help us all continue to get better. And so my hope is that the observations and the discussions that we have after those observations or with those observations will prove helpful in helping student learning over the long term. So District Policy 1432, if you want to go take a look at it, it spells all of that stuff out. The process is making sure that first and foremost we are all aware that observations are a part of this process, that being a member of team is part of this process, that being engaged in the right work is a part of this process. The goal of the educator effectiveness piece at Fossil Ridge and the goal of the educator effectiveness piece in the Washington County School District are the same. The purpose here, the reason that we go through this process is to ensure that we have high levels of learning for every student going on at Fossil Ridge Intermediate School. Well, how do we determine whether or not students are learning at high levels? Well, we do classroom observations. We've got the CSIP. We take part, or we have teachers and teams who are collaborating with one another, focusing on the big four questions. And so ultimately, all of those things come together, and ultimately the purpose, or the main GVC, if you will, at Fossil Ridge Intermediate School is to ensure that our students are learning at high levels. And so this educator effectiveness process is just a piece of that puzzle. Again, it's about learning, not teaching. We talked about this when we had the faculty meeting, and we were discussing standard levels of proficiency and getting kids to focus on the question, what am I learning today versus what am I doing today? And I think we can also make that transition as teachers and administrators. What evidence do we have after today's lesson, or after this particular GVC learning cycle? What evidence do we have that our students did in fact learn at high levels? If our students are learning at high levels, then collaboration and individual instruction is obviously being successful and effective. Some things to take a look at, and first and foremost, what is it that we expect more than anything out of our teachers or our teams? What are we tight on? And essentially, this is a document created by the district, but of course we've got our own document, our Fossil Ridge PLC team success criteria. So this is the expectation. As a teacher at Fossil Ridge, the expectation is that you will work in collaborative teams, that you will be a part of implementing GVCs, that you will take part in developing and administering CFAs, and so on and so forth. And so this document, our success criteria document, essentially provides the evidence of the work you're doing as a team, and the fact that your team is engaged in the right work, and that students are in fact learning at high levels. This is the document we use here at Fossil Ridge Intermediate School. The document we just had up right here, there we go, is a document that was created by the school district, and it essentially, if you take a look at it, it covers those same expectations that we have on our own success criteria here at Fossil Ridge. So the expectation is right there for everyone. And then individually, as an individual classroom teacher, you also have those 10 state standards. Here again, what's the right work? The right work is our success criteria. The evidence of that right work is going to be the CSIP, okay? The fact that you're creating GVCs, the fact that as a team you're creating common assessments and administering common assessments, and most importantly, that you're digging through that data to determine what went well and what we need to fix or to change or to grow on. And so the right work is simply, again, that success criteria that we have. And as teams are engaged in the right work, if you notice over here to the side, that work that you're engaged in as a team also takes care of those Utah teaching standards as well. And so this is a really good slide that the district has created to show us, okay, here's the work we're supposed to be doing, here's the work we're doing, and here is how it aligns with those 10 state standards, okay? Clear expectations again, and again, and again, and again, and again. We just continue to focus until we're blue in the face on the big 4 questions. And specifically this year at Fossil Ridge, we are focusing on question number 1, making sure that we are insanely clear as to what we want our students to learn. And with that we are insanely clear as to what standard levels of proficiency look like. What does it look like to be proficient in this GVC? What does it look like for me as a student to be proficient with this learning target? So that right there is the focus that we are taking on here at Fossil Ridge this year. Does that mean we're not taking part, or we're not engaged in questions 2, 3, and 4? Absolutely not. But we're just going to put an extra layer of focus on question 1 this year to make sure we are clear, that we as teammates know, that our kids know exactly what they need to learn and the proficiency expectation associated with that. And then here again, the district has gone through and they've aligned specific Utah teaching standards to this document. So as we are working together as teams in this team environment we call Fossil Ridge, we are also taking care of certain individual responsibilities related to the Utah state standards, as you can see those. Every single teacher in the school district will get a comprehensive educator effectiveness rating at the end of the school year. It is comprised of these 3 things: classroom observations, student growth, which is basically CSIP and success criteria. And then this one, at the end of the year, we'll get input from stakeholders, and we'll provide, kind of a reflection or a response to what our stakeholders are saying. So one piece of that will be observations, okay? Educators, counselors, specialists, different coordinators, each group have a little bit different set of standards or objectives that will be adhered to or followed as we do the educator effectiveness observation. There's also a self-assessment associated with this, and we need to have this self-assessment done by October 1st. So we have 2 items due on October 1st. We have our CSIP, GVCs, and learning targets, and our self-assessment. Well, where do I go for my self-assessment? You're going to go to Power School, okay? And we'll go there right here. We're going to go to Power School. Sorry. And we're going to scroll down like we did with the CSIP. And we're going to find the educator self-assessment. Okay, so you'll come to this page, and we're doing the self-assessment. Okay, so if we're a teacher or an educator, we're going to go right here. We're going to click on that, and then I'm going to go through, and as you can see, I have not done mine yet. But you're going to go through each of the standards and do a self-assessment. That self-assessment in Power School needs to be done by October 1st. Okay, so again, you go all the way to the bottom. All right, WCSD ESAT, click Educator, and your self-assessment will pop up. Okay. Your team PGP is a part of the educator effectiveness piece. We talked about that when we were discussing the CSIP. Showed you how to get to that and what that means and how to do that. So I'll quickly go through this. Student growth is your CSIP. The student growth piece is comprised of your CSIP and your Fossil Ridge success criteria as a team. And you will be, each team will be, will be looked at and based on the information on the CSIP, based on that team's level of growth or proficiency on the success criteria scale. And then ultimately, that team would get a score anywhere from 0 to 3. Sorry, I rambled through that terribly. Here are the characteristics of a 1 team, a 2 team, and a 3 team. If you are taking care of the success criteria, you are most definitely a 3 team. And again, you can take a look at that as you wish. And then the last piece is the stakeholder input that will come at the end of the year, and we'll talk more about that then. So I'll just kind of hustle through that. Some of you are on a formative year cycle, meaning you will just have a couple of formative observations this year. Others, a third of you, are on your summative year, and so you'll have your summative evaluation or observation that will be comprised of all 10 standards this year, and I will shoot out an email to make sure everybody knows whether or not it's my formative or my summative year, and so on and so forth. And then once spring comes and we take the observations and the student growth and the stakeholder input, we put it all together, and that is the comprehensive rating that each one of our educators will get at the end of the year. I am out of time. Whew! Thanks for all you do.